Hi guys, this is Watchalewknat, and today we're going to be having the airsoft gun review on the AEG Sig552. Hope you enjoy the video. Okay, I thought I'd do my review outside today since this is really just one of the most sunniest days I've had here in the last week. Really been rainy, really been cold. It is still cold right now, but I decided, since it was pretty bright, I'd do an outdoor review instead of being in my garage right over there. But first off though, how I obtained this gun. If y'all know, I like to save money a lot. If you had seen on the talk show, that's what my whole section was on, how to save money in airsoft. This gun is no exception. Got this off a trade-off, my KGW model 1911. Okay, starting off with this gun here on the externals, everything is going to be plastic to some extent except for the sights, part of the front of the gun, and the bolt itself. Starting off with the metal parts, we have the front sight right here. As you see, it is just your standard SIG sight. It is not removable, although this pin does kind of swivel. That is metal. You got your charging handle right here, which this piece is metal, and this whole panel right here is metal. Then you got your rear sight post, which is changeable for your standard CQB blade sight. And then you got 3 other settings depending on how far you are away. I just like to keep it on the blade sight, as since I kind of do shoot off from the sights, I just like to see where the BB goes and adjust my aim from there. And of course, the rest of the mounting piece for the rear sight is also metal. The only other metal thing on this gun is going to be your outer barrel and your handguard mounting piece right here. Now going on to the rest of the gun, we start off with the front. As you see, this is not your standard SIG flash hider. Story to that, I wanted to put a flash or a silencer up here, and as it was en route to coming to me, I was like, hey, I'm just going to take the flash hider off. It was glued up there pretty decently, so I had to stay there for 5 minutes, putting heat. Eventually it came off, threads were broke, couldn't put it back on. And when I got the silencer, it just looked way too long for the gun. So instead, somehow I was able to rethread that and put it on my saw, and I put my M4 birdcage completely orange flash hider that was on the saw, put it up here. I will be painting it soon because this is just electrical tape for now. But either way, I'm just trying to keep that standard look. Moving up to the handguards here, this is a con to the gun. It's really cheap feeling. I mean, this is the cheapest feeling plastic you will see on the gun. I went ahead and took the rails off because they were plastic and they moved a lot even when tightened up. There's one side rail here that would be for a PEC box. If you choose to put a really big battery on this gun, you could have done that, but I wouldn't have trusted how wobbly those rails were. You'd probably have to just get a battery pouch. And there's also a bottom rail. But I see when I take the rails off, it seems to give it much more comfortable feel when I hold the gun, even not having a foregrip like that. It's just it being such a small and light gun, it's I find it much nicer to hold the hand grip or the handguard on this compared to other assault rifles out there. Moving up to the receiver of the gun itself, unlike the ICS's, this is just your standard plastic body. It is ABS plastic. You do have the nice markings there. It just says caliber 6mm, and then an F that's in a pentagon. I don't know exactly what that means. But if you come around here, if you were to use my little trademark technique that I got from another YouTuber, Warpony76, it says SG552/1 Commando. You could fill those right in, since it is somewhat engraved. Might take a while to get the excess off, since it is a plastic body though. Going on to the charging handle itself, as I've already said, it is metal. And since it only goes back partially, you ain't gonna break it off anytime soon. But I wouldn't say, stand there all day and play with it. But, pushing it back does unveil the hop-up system. Being that this is a Sig Sauer gun, it is very ambidextrous. That includes your fire selector switch right here. It is, as you see, it moves on both sides. As I'm using it on the left side of the gun, you can see it move on the right. And I see it's a very decisive click going from safe to semi to full auto. But when going back, as you see, you don't hear a click at all. So if I'm going to be going from full auto to semi-auto, I see myself going all the way back to safe and then to semi. So that's just one little gripe. It's nothing too major, but it's something you'll notice after a while. Turning the gun around, we do have a sling mount here. This being very small, a lot of your if you have something like a carabiner hook that you want to hook up to this to hang it on a vest, it's not going to be too reliable. It is okay for most slings though, but just a precaution, I just put a keychain link here, and since the gun isn't as heavy and it gives it a bigger spot for carabiners or whatever you plan to hook it up to, to have more space to hook onto. Moving on to the back, we have a folding stock very nice, I might say. It is just your standard smooth ABS plastic, but the button is pretty, you know, well in place. Once you push the button, it folds, and it actually has a piece over here that it mounts to, if you can't see right there. If you open up the stock, there's a little pin right there, and it actually holds the stock in place with the button that looks similar to that on the other side of the stock. Okay, wrapping up the externals of this gun here, it has your standard SIG type pistol grip. It having this kind of ribbed texture to it. It is smooth, but it feels really nice. I find it to be just fine. Also a nice little feature, the trigger guard can either swivel to the left or right side. Say if you have really big gloves or, you know, really big fingers, you know, it has easier access to the trigger itself. So that's really nice to see. Of course, as I said, this gun being ambidextrous. Same thing for the magazine release. It's like the AK where it's located at the bottom. Okay, real quick, moving on to magazines here. When I first bought this gun, as I said, I did buy it used, but it came with a G&G brand low cap 40 round magazine. They also make these in a 200 round style, and then there's also the JG/Cyber guns that make the 300 round style. Preferably I use these mags. As you see, I've taken off the connecting clamps. I've dremeled them off somewhat and filed them off because, you know, they fit in the mag pouches a whole lot better, especially the M4 style. And, you know, I don't like to clamp mags together, so there's really no use for it there. Magwell wise, these guns go in somewhat like an AK. They don't go in directly straight up as you see, but you ain't got to go all the way out like this, just slightly, and it goes right in. You have that really nice silent click to it. It kind of sounds like it ain't going in, but it goes in there really well, and there's no wobble to the mag, which is really nice to see. On top of that, magazines don't feed bad at all. Okay, just wrapping up the video here, going over the cons that I did not going over again. Starting off, you know, the handguard is a very cheap plastic. You know, it's that type of plastic that creaks and bends in very easily unless, you know, you got the handguard nice and filled up. But adding on that note, this is the battery compartment, and it is very small when you first get the gun. It has a panel that holds the battery in. It holds no more than your stock 8.4 battery. In my case, I wanted to put a 7.4 LiPo, which I thought was going to be the same size, which it is for the most part. It's just ever so slightly longer though. So I had to do my own mod of taking that battery compartment out. And as you see, I took the compartment piece out, and in the process, I broke off the bottom handguard piece. If you can see that, that should be just as long as the bottom piece, and in turn that made me lose the body pin. And I had to make my own makeshift body pin out of an unjamming rod and wrapping it up in tape to make sure it was a tight fit. Overall though, not much of a problem for me now, but that is just something to look out for. That really cheap plastic will eventually break on you if you open up the handguard too much and don't show it respect. You can take care of it. But overall though, those are the only real cons besides the flash hider. As I said, the only cons to this gun are external. Internally, this gun is going to be your standard JG from about 3 years back. It is nothing special, nothing enhanced to this gun. Stock FPS out of the box, you would probably see around 325, and right now it's shooting about 300 with a .2. So the standard internals in this gun, that's including your polycarb piston, your polycarb piston head, your polycarb cylinder head, and just your standard ratio JG gears and full metal gearbox. The gun holds up great. So nothing to really worry about here. If you're one of those speed freaks that like ROF, you might want to go ahead and, you know, get another motor, but being that it is medium type, you have a very small selection to work with. But overall though, the gun is really great if you just put those little mods to it to make it fit you. And as you saw, my little mods was putting a 7.4 LiPo in here to give me not a faster rate of fire, but a longer time of use. Being that it is a 1600 milliamp LiPo, I will probably get, you know, probably about twice as much time using it compared to the standard 12 or 1100 milliamp that would come with the gun. So, you know, that really helps me out a lot. It gives me more BBs to pump out of here before I have to replace the battery. And as you saw, I took out the fuse and I put Dean's connectors up here because me being using semi a lot more than fully auto, I see that, you know, a little faster trigger response helps me out somewhat. Okay, overall, those are my cons. That's the conclusion. If you haven't seen the accuracy testing chrono on this gun, go check it out. I made it a couple of days ago. It's worth taking a peek at, even if you can't get this gun from its low availability. Overall, though, this has been a What You Looking At video, and I hope you enjoyed. I'm out.